The best fantasy books or series of 2025 according to Reddit. Now, I've done several videos on this channel where I reacted different Reddit threads, but the granddaddy or probably the most important or interesting one has just come out. The list highlighting what are the best books or series according to Reddit in 2025, and I'm so excited to have a look at it. So this will be my first time actually seeing this list, and I am so intrigued. There's particular 3 different series that I am particularly interested in because I think it'll be so fascinating to see if BookTube and Reddit kinda align when it comes to taste. So the 3 series I am thinking about here is I would love to see if Stormlight Archive is still number 1. As you know, there's been quite a lot of negativity about the last installment this year, so it'll be interesting to see if that has dropped slightly or maybe a lot. Another one that I'm really intrigued by is Dungeon Crawler Carl. Dungeon Crawler Carl has been everywhere on BookTube in 2025 and also the end of 2024, so it'll be super interesting to see if that actually has broken into the top 50 potentially. I probably think it's top 50, but probably not much higher than that because it's still a relatively new series. And then the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio, actually a series we'll be reading on Fable on the 1st of April, so if you want to join us, my book club has gone live. But yeah, that series has also been everywhere. So many booktubers talked about books from the Sun Eater as their favorite books of 2024. So yeah, those are the 3 series I'm particularly interested in. I'm also wearing some The Bound and the Broken merch. Not sponsored, by the way, so it'll be interesting to see if The Bound and the Brogue is also on here. Alright, let's have a look at this list, shall we? So at the end, we have Pet Sematary. It's only 5 votes, but I'm wondering where that came from. But yeah, amazing book. The Inheritance trilogy has almost dropped off this list totally. Okay, on spot number 247 is my second or third favorite book of last year, Flowers of Algernon. This book is a masterpiece. It's an American classic, and it's not a series, it's just a book, and I'm so glad to see it on here. I'm actually really surprised, but yeah, definitely worth reading if you haven't read it yet. Then we have Salem Slot, another Stephen King book, also with 5 votes. I'm wondering where these are coming from, but yeah, obviously Stephen King, genius. A Song for Our Bone. So I recently read my first Guy Gavriel book. I didn't particularly vibe with it. It was called A Brightness Long Ago. But yeah, I know that man is a genius. So many authors talk about Guy Gavriel as their inspirations for their fantasies, so it's good to see that he's actually get some recognition though in this community. The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue has dropped 80 spots. I love that novel, but I'm not surprised it's dropping because it's been quite a while since it actually came out. Also on the same spot is the Winning Flame trilogy. Ah, such an underrated trilogy, and it's jumped up 101 spots since last year. That is madness. I'm wondering what has happened in the past year that has made it jump up this high. It is a solid trilogy, but it came out I think 5 years ago, the first book, and I haven't seen many people talk about it in the past 2-3 years. But yeah, it's a great trilogy, very original, so yeah, it's good to see it on this list. Then we have Elantris, so we have a Sanderson book here that has dropped 45 spots. Not a huge surprise considering that this novel is his first Cosmere novel, but still, this might be a sign of Sanderson's popularity dropping slightly this year. Then on spot 183 we have Dracula, only 8 votes, but it's jumped up 195 spots, and yeah, I'm glad actually to see some classics on here. Such an iconic novel, and definitely also showcases that Reddit doesn't only focus on modern books, because this is a very old book, and it's doing quite well, I think, for 2025. On the spot 161, we have The Poppy War. It's dropped 96 spots. It's really interesting, because when I read The Poppy War, I genuinely, my mind was blown. It's one of the first fantasies I actually read as an adult when I got back into the genre, but it also seems that the more time has gone, I've become more critical, and it seems like a lot of other people have also become much more critical of the series. I still think it's a great trilogy, but I'm not overly surprised to seeing it dropping here. The Empyrean by Rebecca Yarros is on spot number 150. Reddit users are often known of being very harsh or critical of romantasy, but the fact that this series is this high definitely showcases that there are also people in this community that read and love romantasy, so I think it would be really crazy if the series wasn't on here. And if I'm being absolutely honest, considering that this novel has sold 10-15 million copies, I am a tad bit surprised it's not higher. But yeah, maybe this just kind of showcases that most readers or users on Reddit probably aren't as into romantasy as people that are not on Reddit. But that's just a theory. On spot number 139, Empire of the Wolf. I love Richard Swan. I think he's so underrated, and he's jumped up 174 spots. So glad to see he's getting more recognition. I recently read his most recent book. I loved it. If you like fantasy horror, you need to read Richard Swan. He definitely writes something very unique and brings something new to the table. Next year, let's bring him even higher, shall we? Oh, we have Cloud Atlas, one of my favorite books of last year. It's jumped up 239 spots. Very interesting, but yeah, what a masterpiece. Interestingly, right above it, Warbreaker, also on 139. It's dropped 98 spots. Again, another Sanderson novel that has definitely dropped a lot. Not overly surprised again to see this novel down here, because it's quite a while since this book came out. But interesting to see how Sanderson is really dropping in these ranks. On spot 105, the Bloodsworn trilogy. So I'm genuinely really surprised by this ranking. So I didn't expect it to be top 10 or anything, but considering that the last book came out not that long ago and John Gwynne is really popular, I definitely expected this to be probably in top 50. So yeah, this might be some evidence that that novel or that trilogy hasn't been as well received as my perception has been of the whole trilogy. But yeah, I think John Gwynne definitely deserves to be higher. Definitely surprised it's fallen 35 ranks, because the last book definitely has been, I think, relatively well received. The Hunger Games is back on spot number 102, jumped 81 spots. I have not read Ballad or the new book, is it called Reaping of something, but I do want to read the newest book, but I probably will never read Ballad. But yeah, I did enjoy the movies and I have a soft spot for Hunger Games, so I do appreciate seeing it here. And then I just want to mention the Tide Child trilogy, which I think is such an underrated trilogy, has jumped up 12 spots. Well done, RJ Barker. Hey, and then on spot number 81, we do have the Bound and the Broken, Ryan Cahill, jumped up 56 spots. Not overly surprised to see him in the top 100, definitely well deserved. He's literally sharing spots with C.S. Lewis with the Chronicles of Narnia, that's pretty mad. On spot number 16, we have New Son, is that how you pronounce it? A series I really want to read this year. Everyone raves about it. Children of Time. The first book is amazing, so not surprised to see it here. Oh, and then my favorite series of all time, probably, The Dandelion Dynasty, is on spot number 44. So it's jumped up 40 spots, which I'm really happy with, but I think it needs to be higher. It is so incredible. Ken Liu is a genius when it comes to writing epic fantasy. He does have a certain style, which might not be for everyone, but man, the Dandelion Dynasty just literally blew my mind. And right above it, Project Hail Mary, which is probably my favorite sci-fi standalone of all time. And right below it, The Sword of Kagan, which is probably my favorite fantasy standalone of all time. So some really good books here. I do think, personally, if I would have made this list, I would have put it even higher. But yeah, really glad to see these all in top 50. And then right above it, Hyperion, also one of my favorite books of last year. Haven't read the other three yet, but Hyperion is a masterpiece. Literally, Hyperion, Project Hail Mary, Dandelion Dynasty, and Sword of Kagan, some of my favorite books are literally side by side. Alright, on spot number 29, we have the Hierarchy series. Mate, this book came out last year, right? And it's already in top 30 on Reddit. That is mind-blowing. That's just madness. Well done, James Arlington. I can't wait to read it. I hope to read it very soon. Also, the second Apocalypse is on here, a series that has absolutely blown up on BookTube last year. Jumped up 27 spots. Definitely something I want to read soon, but I've heard it's very dark, so we'll see. I need to be in the right mindset when I pick that up. Interestingly, Cosmere is on here as its own individual entry, and it says new here. Not sure really how that works with Mistborn, Warbreaker, Atlantis also being individual entries, but maybe in the voting they didn't clarify that they couldn't put Cosmere, and maybe a lot of people put Cosmere, so they had to include it. I don't know. 26, we have the Ozenard saga. I read the Memory, Sorrow and Thorn trilogy last year. So good. And I can't wait to read the second quartet, which I've heard amazing things about. With the Wandering Inn, interesting, being on spot number 22, and then The Murderbot Diaries, a series I wasn't a particular fan of. I do want to read The Wandering Inn one day, but it's just such a huge commitment, and with the baby on the way, I do not know when I'll get around to it. On spot number 20, we have Cradle, a series I didn't particularly enjoy, and then the Locked Tomb series, a series I really want to read. I love strange and unique fantasy, and this sounds like something that probably would appeal to me. Fascinating that it's in the top 20 on Reddit. I'm very impressed. Then we have the King Kill Chronicles, so still going quite strong, I think. Only falling by 5 spots. Considering all the controversies, that's madness, but mate, 17. Dungeon Crawler Carl jumped 103 spots. In some ways it's mind-blowing, but in some ways I'm also not that surprised, because this series has taken over the internet. I can only say, well done, Matt Dinneman. I didn't really enjoy the first 2 books, they just weren't my taste. But Matt Dinneman is a genius, and his success is just immense. Number 17, that's crazy. On spot number 16, we have the Earthsea Cycle, Dune, still going strong. On spot number 14, we have Piranesi. That is surprising to me. So that is also one of my favorite books of all time. A genius of a book, but it's 200 pages. I'm so shocked that this novel has climbed up 9 spots since last year, but it makes me so happy. This book is amazing. We're getting close to top 10 now. I'm really excited. Gentleman Bastard, still going strong, but has fallen down 2. And then we have Harry Potter. Not sure if I'm that surprised. I probably would expect it to be in the top 30, but the fact that it's this close to top 10 is maybe a bit surprising, if I'm being honest. And then Red Rising. Oh, why did I never fall truly in love with Red Rising? Read the first trilogy, it was good, but I still haven't continued, and it's been more than a year. The Greenbone Saga, it's the same spot as last year. I always say there's 3 trilogies that are my favorite. The Greenbone Saga is one of them. What a masterpiece. So glad to see it on here. Please, people, you need to read it if you haven't. So yeah, no complaints here from me. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So again, another series that has fallen by 3. So it was on 5th spot last year. Now it is on spot number 8. I love Mistborn, but I am again not overly surprised it has fallen. Discworld by Terry Pratchett, also on spot number 8. Terry Pratchett is a genius. In my opinion, he's almost ruined the absurdist fantasy subgenre, because he's written so many books and he did it so well that if anyone else wants to write in that subgenre, they have to compete against Terry Pratchett, and he was just too good at it. Really good to see that he's still getting recognition on fantasy. And then we have Wheel of Time. Okay, I wish maybe it was slightly higher, but I'll take it. 7th spot. But yeah, it's a masterpiece. I love the series so much. Malison jumped up 3 spots. I am really surprised by that. Not because Steven Erikson isn't a genius, he obviously is, and also Ian Esselmont, but I really feel like the Malison universe and all those books are phenomenal for people that like them, but they are also, I think, a bit niche, right? Because they are so ridiculously challenging to get through. Maybe I should give this series another try. I tried it twice. Realm of the Elderlings. Okay, I can improve this list. This is one of the greatest fantasy works, and I'm so glad to see that people are still loving Robin Hobb. I often find that her work is actually underappreciated because she's rarely mentioned in the vein of, you know, George R.R. Martin or Tolkien and those kind of authors, but I think that she is at that level. So glad to see her on that. Just need to read the last trilogy in that universe before I actually have read all the books in that universe. The Stormlight Archive. Fascinating. So this was number 1 last year, yeah, because it's fallen down 3, and this just makes me wonder what the future of Stormlight will be, because the next book isn't coming out until like 8 or 9 years, so probably by next year and maybe in 2-3 years this series might actually drop out of top 10. We'll see if that happens, because, you know, legacy is a weird thing, but this is quite shocking to me how far it's fallen already. Then we have A Song of Ice and Fire. It's jumped up 1. First Law number 2. This just makes me happy. I love Joe Abercrombie. And Age of Madness, the last trilogy, is one of the best trilogies I've ever read. What a genius. Then we know what number 1 is, right? Middle-earth. Yeah, absolutely. So Tolkien is back on spot number 1. He just never dies, and he's taken back the throne from Brandon Sanderson on r/fantasy on Reddit. Definitely some interesting changes here. I think, again, most notably the fact that Dungeon Crawler Carl has skyrocketed into top 20, and the fact that we see Brandon Sanderson's popularity decreasing quite a lot in just a year's time is crazy. What did you think about this list?